Josh Pauls, my friend, welcome to Live Inspired with John O'Leary.
Hey, thanks for having me, John.
So I always begin with this question. For those who skipped over my introduction of you and they just jumped right into our conversation, if you were to shake their hand and say, "Hey, my name is Josh Pauls, here's me in a nutshell," what would you say?
Hey, I'm Josh Pauls. I'm a four-time Paralympic gold medalist, seven-time world champion in sled hockey, and I'm also a keynote speaker. I think that's kind of the elevator pitch I have real quick in 10 seconds.
If they then say sled hockey, we're like, what is that, man? How do you respond to that? Because we're going to talk quite a bit about sled hockey during our conversation.
Absolutely. And as much as I really want to help guide the audience through this podcast of what it is, go look at a picture, like Google it. Like that's going to be the easiest way for people to understand it. But really, it's a combination of hockey, bumper cars, and Nordic skiing all at the same time. So it's a form of hockey for anybody with a lower body disability. We got two sticks instead of one. We have metal teeth at the end of those sticks. We use our arms to propel ourselves. We sit on metal blades on top of a frame inside of a seat, and then we go play hockey. We bash each other into the boards. We're scoring some sick goals. I mean, we're better than the NHL guys. We can shoot with both left and right hands. They can only shoot one way. But obviously, they're a little bit taller and faster than we are. But, yeah, it's a give and take.
You live near me. I mean, our houses are maybe 5 minutes away by car and maybe quicker depending on who's driving. It's like we're very close today, but you didn't grow up in the St. Louis area. You grew up in New Jersey. So I'm going to
I
have you leave the rink, leave the Midwest, head back home, and talk about what your life was like as a kid, because I think that's where people are going to find out first what drew you in to this brand of hockey, but then secondly, why this conversation is for them today, regardless of their passion or their hatred of hockey. This conversation is for you. So take me back to Greenbrook Township.
Greenbrook, New Jersey. That's my hometown. My parents, got together before I was born, obviously, you would hope. And, they popped me out. And, I know we talked about this. My legs aren't the first thing I like to bring up in conversation, but it's kind of a formative to my story here. So, I popped out my mom. They thought I looked a little bow-legged. So they put some casts on. They're like, no problem. We see this all the time. They took an x-ray. They realized that my tibia bones, which is the bigger bone in your shin bone, was gone. I didn't have a kneecap, couple foot bones. So they were like, all of a sudden, hey, this isn't something we see all the time. Told me I was one in 10 million. So at 10 months old, my parents made the decision to have my legs amputated. It was also the best decision they ever made for me. Like, I mean, now I live a full life. Like, I'm walking around in prosthetics. I've been walking since I was a year old. Not too dissimilar than I'm sure you did or anybody else listening to this podcast did. I just learned a little bit different way to learn in prosthetics. And, there's a whole progression to it. You start on something kind of on the end of your thigh, and then you eventually like work your way up to like stilts, and
Yeah.
which is kind of, I mean, that's what prosthetics are in my mind. They're just glorified stilts that, they basically do everything but walk me home from the bar at night. And even still, sometimes they get me home. So that's that's the thing. Like I started, I started a little, I mean, people would say I started disadvantaged, but I think I started on an even playing field. It was just
Wow.
about how my parents wanted to raise me. And I think they both took the fact that, hey, I had a disability. I still had to do stuff. I was still gonna have to contribute in life, right? Like I'm not disabled enough to just never work. Like that's just legitimately something I have to do in order to live. And so, there'd be times my mom would be like, "Hey, take out the trash." "Sorry, mom, my legs are off." And she'd be like, "All right, we'll put them on and go take out the trash." It was like I was any other kid, I think, and that's what really gave me the base to just say, "I'm going to figure out whatever comes my
Yeah.
way."
I mean, there's so many listeners and viewers of ours who are parents. And so, the challenge with bringing on a mountain climber or a burn survivor or an Olympian like yourself is sometimes people think like, well, that's not for me. I'm not into hockey. This is about life. This is about leadership. This is about parenting. So you brought up a couple things as you talked about your parents. The first thing was they made the decision. So little Josh had very little to say about this at age 10 months of age. Have you talked to them about what that was like for them to realize, gosh, we got to take this little fella in early in the morning. We're going to put him on this table. He's going to come back completely different than he left. What was that like for them?
Yeah, I actually had to talk to them about it just because I was interested. Like, I tell this story all the time, and I think it was a really hard decision, but I didn't know until I asked them. And they said they got a bunch of different opinions. They were trying to figure it out, and they realized their big motivator was there was this one kid whose parents elected, he had the same disability as me. He was missing his tibia bone in one of his legs. His parents elected not to amputate. And as soon as he turned 18, he said, cut this thing off. It's in my
Mm.
way. Obviously, no two people are the same. His circumstances are very different than mine. or maybe similar. I don't know. But that
Right.
was their big thing of the technology and prosthetics is advancing. I think this is going to give him his best quality of life. And, I've had conversations with, my parents and how they raised me. And my dad even looked at me and was like, so we kind of talked over and like, this isn't genetic. It's just kind of a 1 in 10 million happens randomly kind of thing. My dad
Right.
asked me, he was like, well, are you ever worried about passing it on or having a child with a disability? And I said, well, I thought you guys did okay, but like, who's better equipped to deal with it than me? Like, I've lived it. So, like, if it happens, I already have the knowledge that you guys didn't have. And plus all the knowledge they gave me by raising me. So, I might be able to look at it and say, hey, this isn't something I necessarily would love. I want my kids to be running around pitter patter, being able to get all the tall stuff when I'm out of my legs. But that's the thing. Like, you don't always get a choice. It's just about how you react to it.
Hmm. So there was a film done recently called Soul on Fire, and it's a story of my life. And one of the characters in there was named Mom. True story, right? I mean, this is my mom, tough woman, incredible leader. And there was a scene where she was making me learn how to eat again. And it went on for about 2 minutes. And this is like totally inside hockey conversation right now. But it tested so poorly because she was making the child do something that was making that child cry. Like it became so difficult that the little boy is like losing his mind. And at the end of the dinner, he's finally figuring out how to eat. But we had to shorten that significantly because the audiences were bothered by how difficult and how tough her love was. And in real life, not Hollywood life, in real life, thank God for a mom like that. Thank heavens that I had someone who forced me to eat and do everything else. You mentioned that your mother up in New Jersey would say things like, "Hey, honey, take the trash out." So talk about what your mother, father was like growing up as they guided you forward to not view what you had as a disability.
Yeah, I think my parents were pretty opposites, and it makes sense. They're separated now. But my mom was always the big, hey, hockey's awesome, but one, it's not going to pay the bills because there ain't no money in sled hockey. And two, you got to make sure that you're doing things that just make you a good person. Like, I don't care the hockey player you are, I want you to be a good person. And I think my dad had a very similar thing, but he also understood, like, I think he loves hockey and he still does. We still talk it. And he saw I had a dream for it and wanted to encourage me to do it. And I think, my mom tried to make sure that I knew what the value of hard work was. I got a job in the off season. I was doing stuff in the summer that wasn't just, sitting on my couch playing video games. And my dad was always like, hey, like, if you can make this work with hockey, great. But if you can't, well, then something's got to give. And I'm just fortunate that hockey has evolved to a point where, and we as players, we've grown it to a point where I could stay on the team for this long. I cared to be around. Like, these
Right.
players are, it's the people. It truly is. Like, hockey is awesome. I absolutely love it. But at this point, I could take or leave the sport. Like, it's the people that I'm around that are encouraging you every day, that are just, you're just talking shop and just hanging out. Like, just because kind of like what we're doing here. Like, that's the best part of life, and that's the best part of hockey for me.
Josh, many kids have issues going into school because they have freckles or brown hair instead of black, or a million different things that they think set them apart and make them less than everyone else in the class. For you, what's it like going off as a little kid without legs, with prosthetics, maybe sometimes in a wheelchair, seemingly different than all the other kids in class?
Oh yeah. I mean, I stood out. I like to joke, when I do stuff at schools, I'm like, hey, you guys might notice there's something different about me. I know I wear contacts. It's crazy. I know some of you guys do too, though. But I think my mom would always come into school with me and she'd say, like, hey, this is Josh. He's got metal legs. It's just how he walks, how it goes. And she never made it a big deal, so I never made it a big deal. And eventually growing up, I found my tribe. That's kind of my thing, is you got to find your tribe. You got to find where you're accepted, where you're loved, where you just feel like you can be you and there's no guardrails on it.
Right.
And I think, like, that's who I found. I found those people in school, and they insulated me from anybody that didn't like who I was or just didn't understand, I'd say, because I mean, kids can be mean. Like, that's just the truth. But it comes from a place of they don't understand, they don't know, not they're intentionally trying to be mean, right? Like, they just don't know. It's easy to get so sucked into those peer situations where there's pressure and everything. And so I was very insulated in school, but it was also something I had to kind of take ownership of. It was, yeah, I'm different. Who cares? Like,
Right. But before you get into hockey, were you introduced to sports before sled hockey?
I was. And as much as I am an advocate for people to Like whether you're able-bodied, disabled, anything, play multiple sports. If you're a kid and you can do it and you want to do it, absolutely play multiple sports. I'm a one-trick pony. I watched wheelchair basketball one time because a guy that worked with my stepmother was in a wheelchair, played wheelchair basketball, and I saw that and I said, John, I said, that looks too violent for me. And so I'm going to decide to pick sled hockey. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because these guys were in a glorified tank top, flipping around in wheelchairs with no pads. And in hockey, you have a helmet, pads, jersey, everything. Like, I was like, oh, I'm way more insulated. I saw some different sports. I looked into track. I participated in gym class up as long as I could. I mean, in high school, we would play floor hockey. They'd cut down a stick for me. We'd use scooters. I had some phenomenal gym teachers that wouldn't let me sit. If we were jumping rope, there'd be a teacher on either side grabbing the rope. They'd swing it over me. I'd step over it and they'd swing it over me. Did I feel like I was jumping rope? Not really, but I was still doing something. I was involved. I was infused, because I think inclusion is a word that makes me feel like, hey, let's bring somebody in even though we don't want to. We have to bring them in. Where infusion is just, this is just how it is. Everybody's opinions are here, valid, great, and accepted. And like, that's the society that I'm trying to help build.
Yeah, it's needed. So age 8, you're introduced to hockey. Age 10, you fall in love with it.
Yeah, I tried hockey and I hated it. And I don't know what it was. So I love to say this. Sled hockey players are the biggest con artists you're ever going to meet, John, because what we do is we play against an able-bodied hockey team, people in stand-up, we put them in sleds. They've never done this before. They don't know what they're doing. We go beat them, usually like 10, 12, nothing. If they even score a goal, they're ecstatic. We get the win. And then at the end, their organization gives our organization a check. Boom. We get the win. We get the money. We get everything. Con men. I love it. But I got to go see hockey. I got to go see it at one of those. And I jumped in a sled and I just started crying. I don't know what it was. I think all the attention was on me, which is crazy to think now that I'm doing podcasts and speaking and, playing in gold medal games. But I was just like, man, all this attention, I don't like it. And a couple of years later, a team opened up a little bit closer in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And I decided, you know what, let's give it one more shot. My parents really encouraged me. And I don't know what changed, John, but man, my life, it was just like, wow, this is what I want to do. I need to be out here. And I don't know what changed, but I'm really glad it did.
Did you consider yourself being naturally athletic at that time? Did you think that you had the natural skill set and character to excel in the sport?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I definitely don't think I looked at myself as athletic at that point. I definitely didn't. It was just something I did for fun. Like, yeah, I was faster than all the other kids on the ice, but like nothing else about my skill set really screamed it. Like, to give you an example, like I went to our national development camp in 2007, 2008. It's like the top 60 up and coming to be on the national team, kind of next generation type players. And I went and I was probably one of the worst players there. And the next year I came back, the national team player that was my coach looked at me and said, hey, like you were one of the worst players here last year. And now you're one of the best. Like, just good job. And so I think it was having access. Like my parents realized I was starting to take it more seriously. So they said, hey, let's get you more ice time. And that's when I realized like I could do something. But I think like the person I became really started after, like once I was on the national team, once, we got through that first world championship where I didn't really play a ton, and then kind of leading into the Paralympics in Vancouver or going into those, I think that's kind of really what challenged me and made me who I am.
How old were you when you were selected onto the team?
Let's see. Prior to the 08-09 season, I was 15. So yeah, I was young.
So some questions I have no idea what your answer might be. On this one, I actually knew. I mean, 15, man. Jack Buck, my old friend, would say I have ties older than that. You are 15 years old on the men's national team. What was it like simply being selected for that?
I mean, it was kind of crazy. Like I don't even know that I was selected for it, because our general manager called me from like during the tryout and was like, "Hey, Josh, are you planning on coming?" I was like, "No, I didn't think I was all that good. I'm heading home." And he was like, "Oh, well, we thought you had a really good camp." So they invited me to their first training camp. And like, it was awesome. I think I said about 3 words the entire 5 days, because, these are 20, 30, 40-year-old men that I'm just like, these were my heroes. I was watching them on the ice last world championship being like, these are my heroes. That would be so cool one day to play with them. And then like 5 months later, I'm on the ice. I really don't think I expected what was going to happen that year, because the equipment manager sent me home with a jersey. I was like, oh man, I guess I'm not making it back if they're giving me a jersey. And I ended up staying on that whole season. We ended up going and playing in the World Championship in 2009, Ostrava, Czech Republic. I had basically had the best seat in the house. I was riding the pine for the entire time, but it was such a cool experience to watch us, one, be able to win a World Championship when we were probably the third or fourth best team there. And for us to score with 9 seconds left and watch our captain do that, like that was really cool. But, throughout that whole process, I was sitting there, like the coaches told me, hey, you're young, you're 15, you're not going to be playing a lot. And so I had to sit there and say, well, I got to maximize the work I put in practice. Even in the 15-minute warm-up we get in, I know I'm not getting in the 45 minutes after this, but the 15-minute warm-up that we have, what skills can I work on? What can I add? Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but for probably 5 or 6 years, John, I told myself like, hey, this is your breakout game. And then it wasn't. And nobody was telling me that. It was just me in my own head. But I had to deal with that self-rejection of just, hey, that wasn't your breakout game. That wasn't your breakout game. When are you going to break out? And it was a mental grind. But once I got over the hump, man, it was just momentum for days.
What was the goal? And I don't mean like the life goal at that point, but
Yeah.
when you said, hey, man, this is going to be my breakout goal, my breakout game, what are you really pursuing there?
I wanted to be an elite player. And obviously, like, that's not super specific. I know, like, now when I set goals, I need to be specific. It can't just be this, I'm going to be good. But I wanted to have a performance that I was happy with for 45 minutes. Not just like, hey, I want to go score a bunch of goals or score a bunch of points, but like, can I be happy with my defensive play? Can I be happy with the passes I made that set my teammates up for success rather than put them in a bad spot simply because I was about to get hit and I didn't want it? Like, who was I able to open up the ice for with a hit rather than needing to make a play on the puck? Like, frankly, like when it comes to hockey, I don't care what I got to do. Like my offensive skills, and I mean, I'm the third member of the U.S. team to score 200 points in a career. I started way before the other two guys, and I was the last one. So like, it's not that great of an accomplishment. But that's the thing. I am an offensively skilled player, but like, that is the least. That is the part of my game I'm concerned with the least. Because if I'm not doing that, I know we have some really skilled players that can, but I also know I can contribute 15 other ways on the ice, and I can add something.
Talk about folks who spoke truth and encouragement into you at that time early on. Because I would imagine we all get lost in our own thoughts from time to time, and we need someone to step forward and to just encourage us. So, who was a mentor or coach, an advisor, or parent who really poured inspiration into you when you needed it?
Absolutely. I think two quick ones I'm going to run through. Taylor Lipsett, he was a player on the national team. He played in 3 Paralympics, '06, '10, and '14. So I got to play 2 of them with him. Right before the Vancouver Paralympics, I was kind of making the switch between defenseman and forward. I didn't really want to do it. I wasn't a big forward guy. I didn't know the position. Like, John, I'll be honest, I was learning how to play forward through the NHL video game because they had a little arrow that would point you where to go. And that's how I learned.
Finally, you say something I understand. I haven't tracked anything you've said in this conversation, but now that you're talking about NHL hockey on Sega, we're we're in stride, man.
Exactly. So I'm glad you get that. So like, yeah, it was like I was learning from a video game how to play hockey, like, which isn't great. And I remember talking to him on the bench in like getting ready to kind of play one of our last games before the Vancouver Cup was made. And I was like, yeah, I just really want to play defense. I just think that's where I'm like better suited. And he looked at me and he said, well, that's fine. You can want to do that, but the tickets to Vancouver is as a forward.
Mm.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll be the best forward I can be. Like, whatever I have to do, tell me what to do. And like, he was always a guy that was super encouraging, just like giving me little pointers on the ice, off the ice. And like, he really just changed my mindset to this is what I want, to this is what the team needs. Who cares what I want?
Yeah.
I think like that's one thing. I don't, like Ben Newman, I do some speaking with his speakers bureau, and his thing is always standards over feelings. And I've really latched onto that. I am who I am because of my standards. I don't really care what I'm feeling that day. I don't really want to go to the gym after this. I don't want to, but I'm going to because that's my standard. Like, that's just what I have to do in order to make sure that I'm in my best shape for 2026.
Do me a favor. Ben is a mutual friend of ours. Unpack that a little bit more. When you say standard over feelings, so tell us what that means to you, and then tell us really what it means for us.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of days I feel like doing stuff. And for me, it comes down to like discipline versus motivation. There are some days I'm motivated to do stuff because whatever, like, hey, I'm going to have a great conversation with you, John. That's going to inspire me to go to the gym because I had a great day. I don't always get to talk to you in the morning. I mean, if we could schedule an 8 a.m. call every day, then I'm sure I'd head into every day just super pumped, but that's not realistic, right? Like my discipline and my standards, which is basically just the tenets I live my life by. I'm going to show up whether I want to or not. And I'm going to give you 100% of the Josh Pauls I have. Right now, I'm at 100%. I'm going to give you all 100%. I'm going to Chicago tomorrow to work a hockey camp. So by Friday, we're going to have a couple ice sessions. I'm going to be a little tired. I might only be able to give you 85, but you're going to get 100% of that 85%. I'm going to give you everything I got.
Right.
Like, I used to work with a trainer, and he used to tell me, like, you'd never have a bad day in the gym. And like, a bad day in the gym isn't I'm always lifting to my personal record. Like, I'm not always just lapping myself, but I'm never out of sync. I'm always going to set myself up for success. I'm going to do all the things beforehand to prepare me. Like, John, I don't like work for it. I don't work towards it. I just want to give myself the best chance to be successful as I can and let the cards fall how they may.
Now, cross over and tell us what that means for the rest of us. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory,
Yeah.
but you've got folks who are kids on their way to school listening to our podcast, and you've got parents and grandparents who are moving toward retirement and everything in between who are so often they have a sale attached to feelings. And depending on what Trump said, or before that Biden, or what's happening over across the seas, or what's happening in the economy, or with interest rates, or with their children or grandchildren, that is what informs how we show up. But what I'm hearing you say is, dude, it's the exact opposite. It's got to be standards over feelings. So tell me what that means for us.
I think just for people, like, we're all human, and regardless of our jobs or roles or whatever, like, show up when you have to. And personally, the way I think of it, make your life easier now so that it's not as hard later. The more stuff I put off now, the harder my life is later. Why am I going to do that? I might as well take care of the junk now. And for me, it comes down to controlling the things that I know I can control, right? I can't control who's president. I can't control the economy. I can't control what people are doing overseas. I can't control anything other than in my sphere of influence. I can control what I do. I can control how I make people feel, and I can control, the effort and the attitude I put in. Like, I had a hockey coach that say, if there's three things we can do, you can work hard, you can learn something, you can have fun. Like, if we can do all three things off the ice, cool. And you know what? If I can do all three things, get my wife ready to head out. She's a teacher. I like to help her pack lunch and breakfast and get her ready for the day. If I can do that and I can do three things, like, I can learn something. I don't know. She might be on TikTok. I might learn something about Taylor Swift. I might learn something about that. It doesn't really matter. It's more about what can you do, because there's so much noise around us, right? Like, that's the world we live in, whether it's TikTok, social media, we're constantly bombarded. But if you can single down that focus and really put those blinders on and just control what's in your lane, well, one, I'm way less stressed worrying about stuff I can't control because I can't control it. So why am I to worry about it? And it took me so long to kind of build that attitude. And like any other skill, it takes work. You have to constantly work at it. Like, I know I'm jumping a little here, but I'm a big positive self-talk guy. Like, I still have some negative self-talk every once in a while, but it's correcting myself. It's trying to make sure I'm really, honestly, John, I'm just trying to be better than the person I was yesterday. I can't be better than who you are today or who you are tomorrow. I can't be better than my wife, who she was 10 years ago. I can't be better than my parents, who they're going to be in 10 years. But I can control that I'm hopefully better than I was yesterday.
You've participated in 4 Olympics, is that right?
I participated in 4 Paralympics. Yep.
Man, I view that as the Olympics. I mean, Vancouver and then Sochi and on to China, I believe, and one more Olympics mixed in there, maybe South Korea.
Yep. Pyeongchang in 2018.
It's hard to pick a favorite child. I have 4 children, by the way. So if you force me to pick a favorite, I might be able to, but I'd rather not. But I'm going to force you right now to pick a favorite. So of those 4 Paralympics, which one was your favorite?
Now, are we going games or medal?
You tell me.
Ooh, the medal from Vancouver is my favorite, hands down.
Before you say the next thing, tell me why that's hands down your favorite medal.
So our Vancouver medals, they're kind of square, and they're actually from a big piece of artwork. Each design for the medal is like a stamped out piece of all of it. And so, like, in Sochi, like, if we were on the same team, our medals are identical. Like, we could swap ours and you wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't be able to tell unless you bit one part and I bit another, and we knew that. The Vancouver ones, like, every single gold medal is unique from that bigger piece of artwork. So like, the guy next that I got mine in next to in line is completely different. I just think that uniqueness is awesome.
That's a great story.
But as far as like the game's experience, strange enough, I'd probably have to say 2022 in Beijing. There was no friends and family there. It was super weird with all the restrictions. But like, man, I've never felt closer to any of my teammates. And maybe it's because of the restrictions. Like we were living in Nashville before the games. It was you drive from the team house, you drive to the rink, you drive to the gym, you drive to the house, you drive to the rink, drive to the like gym, drive to the house, and just kind of on repeat. And then when we got over there, I still remember from Beijing, like they couldn't put the medals on you. And I was like, there's no way we're putting them on ourselves. Like everybody deserves to have the feeling of it placed around you. So we all went down the line and put it on the guy next to us. And like, I don't know, like this, it gives me chills thinking about it. Everything about those games, like we were dominant on the ice. Those are guys that I'm always going to feel connected to. I feel connected through every Paralympics, but like we were just forced together and just, I love those guys.
You are known as being a highly intentional guy. And as a captain of this team, I'm sure there's a ton of intentionality that goes into that. What kind of leader do you want to be?
Ooh, what kind of leader do I want to be? Kind of the one I am now, just because I've had a lot of experience. Like I, I was named youngest team captain in history in 2018, and I absolutely had no idea what I was doing. But I want to be somebody that everybody knows I have their best interest in mind. Like I'm not a guy that's going to make a decision unless I'm 100% sure on it. Like I want to bring in my other leaders, our other captains, the other people who've been on the team. I want people to feel supported. Like I think when I first started, I felt like I had to do everything. And it was, hey, Spuds, can you do this? Hey, can you do this? And now it's, hey, I have this good idea. Hey, what do you need for me to help you be successful? Like, how can I, one, like, I've been on this team for 17 years. I know my voice carries a lot of weight. Like, if I can say something to somebody that they don't feel comfortable to, well, then cool. If I have a younger player that needs something, I'm going to just loudly say something to one of our staff members and be like, oh, hey, maybe we should help them out. I want to be the guy that takes care of our guys. I guess I'm a caretaker, and that might be my leadership style. But as long as my guys have everything they need, then we're going to be successful.
You mentioned being an expert brown bag packer for your wife in the morning. Tell me where you met her.
Oh, yeah. So my wife and I actually met on a blind date. We both went to Lindenwood University. My buddy John wanted a buddy to hang out at the sorority formal. And so I was his choice, and Kate didn't have a date. So he took her out for a margarita one time. Was like, hey, there's this guy I know. You want to take him to the formal so we can hang out together? And yeah, we went months without doing anything. And finally, John, my buddy, his wife was like, so what are you guys doing? Are you like dating or something? And I was like, I don't know. We probably want to figure that out. And yeah, now we've been married since 2021. And yeah, it's just kind of incredible.
What was it or is it about Kate that you fell in love with?
Oh, gosh. I think her kindness, she's just honest, she's open, and I don't know, she's just so caring. Like, and honestly, like she just doesn't see my disability. She truly, one, helped me like love my body. Like personally, like just when I walk the way I walk with prosthetics, I use my glutes, right? Like, so I'm basically, when I walk, I kick with my glute, and then my leg kind of does the whole walkie thing on its own because they have computer chips and everything. And like I was always like, oh, it's my prosthetics, and I like kick my butt out, and that's why I look the way I look when I walk. That was something that I was uncomfortable with. I didn't like my body. Like I didn't know I could be in love with my butt, John. Like that's like I think it's kind of crazy saying that at 32 years old on a podcast with you, but like she truly helped me to just love myself. And like that's what I love about her. She's just encouraging. She's a special ed teacher. So obviously she has way more patience for me. Like I get why.
Yeah.
But yeah, like yeah, that's what I love about her.
So I was on a podcast recently and someone said, do you ever have bad days? And then we went on a long tangent about that because the answer is, of course. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking you now, Josh, team captain of the United States, four-time Paralympic gold medalist, on and on and on. When you have bad days, I'm not going to ask you if, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're in one of those funks, what do you do to pivot and then move forward?
I think there's a couple things. One, it's mentally telling myself, hey, this is temporary. Because I've never been out of in a rut that I couldn't get out of. And that's just my experience. It's, hey, don't worry, you're gonna get out of it. You're gonna get out of it. It's okay. Hey, this isn't forever. Like when I'm grumpy, whatever. But then it's also like, how do I start momentum? Like I could get super frustrated. How do I start momentum? I can make my coffee in the morning. John, I make iced coffee. I literally put ice, I pour it in, and then I put a little splash of milk. I can't screw that up. So like if I can start that day, I can fold the covers over my bed. Well, that's a win. That's a win. I already have two wins. Man, I can keep building. And it's about getting out of that mentality of this is only going wrong. And it's more, well, why couldn't it go right?
Hmm.
Like, why not me? Why couldn't I have a good day? Why can't I totally change this around in 10 minutes? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but then you just keep chugging along until it does.
Some people are probably listening to this and they're inspired by you, but they're also depleted in their life. They did not end up with Kate. They did not end up on the U.S. men's team. They did not end up with the captaincy. They did not end up in the gorgeous house in Crestwood, on and on and on. Like their life has not at all gone the way they desired or desire. What would be some encouragement for them right now listening to our conversation?
Well, John, I wanted to be the first guy with no legs in the NHL, and that hasn't happened. That was pretty disappointing. Like, I've been disappointed. Like, I've lost so many games that I've been disappointed in, and I've been through struggles. I've been cut from teams, and like, nothing's ever perfect. You got to be flexible in how you're going to do it and hard in your goals. And it's more about enjoying the journey because, like, I was up at a camp in Minnesota teaching goal setting and talking about success. Like, I've never felt like successful in the way of like, cool, this is it, and I'm done. I can put my arms back and we can just keep going. Because you know
Right.
what? 2 weeks after the gold medal, nobody's asking me, hey, how's the gold medal feel? Like, Kate's like, hey, the dishes are piling up. Are you going to do something about that? Life still goes on, right? So no matter how successful I feel, like, even if you don't think your life is going in that way, in the direction that you want it to, well, one, now's the time, perfect time to sit here and go, this is what I want. Get off the highway now. Like,
Right.
don't wait for 20 miles down to get off of the exit. Who knows if there's even one going to be one there? So get off the highway now and then turn around. Like, you're not just going to keep barreling down if you know if GPS is going, hey, turn around, turn around. So, like, there's no better time than today. Don't put it off. Like, and I don't even care if it's something that you're trying to, if it's a big goal you're trying to reach or just something small. Start today. Start today with something small, little. It, like I said, it could be making your coffee. It could be making your bed in the morning. It could be, I don't know, like I'll brush my hair and I'll call that a win. Just get the wins where you can and build that momentum because momentum is so powerful. At least I believe it is.
So I have my fingers amputated on both hands, have scars from my neck to my toes, walk different than anybody else I've ever seen. And through my mom and dad, have never really felt like I have a disability. It doesn't mean I'm not different than everybody else, but never in their mind or mine disabled. So I'd like you to begin moving toward the conclusion of our conversation by first speaking to the parents out there, whether their child has a tangible disability or their children are just maybe struggling in one way or another. Help them understand how best they could maybe love their child forward. What's something that they could tangibly do to be the kind of parent that your parents and my parents were for us?
I think the first step for parents is to recognize when you're a lawnmower parent. And for me, lawnmower parents, that's the parent that's willing to mow down all the tall grass in front of your kids so that they have a nice clear path. And like I talked about earlier, I was up at a camp in Minnesota teaching kids about it's more than just hockey. We get them in canoes and we tip them in the water because if they're out on the water with their three other canoe mates, they got to figure out how to flip the thing, get it to shore, and get back in. Like we're
Right.
not there to help them. Like we have safety boats around. Like we're gonna make sure they get it there. But like they got to figure this out. And watching the parents have to let them do that was huge. Like you have to let your kids fail. You
Yeah.
truly do because they're never going to learn. Like, how can they own their successes if you don't ever let them fail? If you don't let them own their failures? Because if their successes are only because of you, then how are they ever going to build momentum themselves? And I think
Hmm.
like I know it's a tough conversation, but like I have it a lot with disabled kids, parents. Like you want to teach them how to be independent while you're still around. You don't want to have them figure it out while you're not. Like that's going to be that much harder. And so I think like just whether it's somebody who's struggling, somebody with a disability, I think my wife's been huge is one of the phrases, how can I help you? Put the onus on them to have them tell you what they need, not can you do this for me? And if they ask you, just say no. You got to figure out how to do this yourself. Like my parents told me no plenty of times. I hated it. I was like grumpy. I'm sure I threw tantrums, but you know what? I turned out all right. And it was because I had to figure it out myself. Like that's one of the things I'm going to kind of take this for half a second different. I love cooking, but my favorite part of cooking is the experimentation and the figuring out what works and what doesn't. And like, could I add a little bit of here? Sometimes I ruin it, but you know what? I can't ever figure out what's good if I don't ever ruin it once or twice.
That's good. Now speak to the kids. So I'm sure many folks are going to have their children listen to this podcast after hearing your story and what you've been through and what you're accomplishing today. if we are a child who feels like we have a disability or we physically do, what's something that you did as a kid that really benefited you, not only way back then, but continues to benefit you today?
Oh man, you're dropping the hard hitting questions. This is tough.
Man, I've been up
But
a
I
long
think
time. I know you and I are recording early, but I've been up for hours, dude. So I'm ready to roll into the day. Let's go.
all right, momentum. I love it. So I think like if you feel different, whether it because perception is reality, right? Whether you're different, whether you feel different, that's okay. Being different is what makes us all unique. John, it's why you have a podcast. It's why you have a story, a movie. Because you're different. And it's why I'm me. It's why I'm a four-time Paralympic gold medalist. It's why I'm trying to be a Paralympian 5 times. Like, I'm different. It was a mentality shift for me to go from wearing pants over my prosthetics to just almost exclusively wearing shorts.
Right.
Because one, pants just get in the way. Two, I want to show this stuff off. These things are expensive and they're cool looking. They look like Batman legs. Like, for me, I had to learn to love myself and I had to learn to love every bit of it. Yeah, I'm the guy that takes a few extra minutes to put my legs on in the morning, but you know what? I put my legs on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. Be okay being different. I know as a kid it's going to be tough, but also find the people who make your heart sing. Find the people where you feel loved, accepted, and like I said earlier, where you can just be you with no guardrails. Those are the people you're going to want to be around, but also the people that you want to have be your friends through the rest of your life.
Hmm. Josh, I know you are a big goals guy. As you look ahead at your professional journey, but also at your personal one, what's next for you?
Man, working some hockey camps. We're going to be playing some hockey. We got the Milan Paralympics in 2026 in March. So we're kind of, I think it's all eyes forward on that. That's kind of my next goal. After that, I think we're just going to kind of figure out what's next and figure out, is hockey still the way forward? But, that's something that, Kate and I get to do and hang out, and hopefully we get to do it with another medal in the case.
Right. Well, brother, we have 7 questions that tether all of our guests together, and they're called the Live Inspired 7. So
Okay.
buckle up, get ready. Here we go. First question is, what's been the most impactful book you've ever read?
The most impactful book I've ever read, Uncommon Leadership by Ben Newman.
So, in one sentence, why?
Yep. Why? It teaches you how to be not just uncommon for yourself, not just like a high achiever for yourself, but for others as well. And I think that was the thing that really impacted me.
What's one positive characteristic or one powerful trait that you possessed as a little boy growing up in New Jersey and wish you exhibited as brilliantly today?
Oh man. I wish I was curious. Was more curious. I used to be super curious and I still am, but I'm more reserved curious. I'm not necessarily like going to ask you questions. I'll go try to seek it out on my own. But I wish I
Right.
would just ask more questions to people.
If your home caught fire, and Kate, any animals you may have, everybody's out, you have an opportunity of running back in and grabbing one thing that really matters to you. What would you grab?
One thing that really matters to me, probably my actual wedding band because I don't wear it all the time.
If you could sit on a bench on a gorgeous day and have a long conversation with anyone living or deceased, who would you like to be next to?
I would be next to our old coach, Jeff Sauer. He passed away in 2017, right before the 2018 games. And yeah, I just miss him dearly. I'd love to have one more conversation with him.
Hmm. What's the best advice Jeff or your mom or dad, Kate, anyone else ever gave you? So the best advice Josh Pauls has ever received is,
Ooh, I mean, this is kind of hockey specific, but I think it can be used a lot more. I've never met anybody that's worked hockey. They've only ever played hockey. So it might as well have fun. People might work in hockey, but they don't work hockey.
awesome. What
Yes.
advice would you give yourself at age 20?
Be okay. Like, find who you are. Be okay finding who you are. I know at that age, I was running around trying to find a girl and just thinking that's what I needed, but I didn't meet Tate until I decided I'm okay with being just me.
Hmm. Josh Pauls, it has been said that all great hockey players, all great husbands, all great leaders can have their lives summed up in one sentence. How would you like yours to read?
One of my buddies, I think, sums it up pretty well. Josh Pauls works hard, loves the game, plays hard.
Josh Pauls works hard, loves the game, plays hard. Team captain, 4-time gold medalist, 5th time coming up, I think, relatively soon. And man, it's been an honor having you on our program.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the chance. I'm really excited to catch up on the movie that I missed from you. And yeah, just excited to see where your journey goes now, too.
My friends, that is the voice of our team captain, Josh Pauls. My name is John O'Leary, and today is our day. What a gift. Live inspired.